Hey guys, how's it going? I picked up this pressure washer at a yard sale when I was down in New Jersey. It was like in a warehouse that was closing up, whatever the business was. And this is one of the pieces that was inside there. I grabbed this in a hand truck. I paid $150 for the pair, so maybe we'll call them 75 bucks a piece. He said it's been sitting, you need to clean the fuel out, blah, blah, blah. And in other words, he tried putting fuel in it after it's been sitting a long time, and more than likely it has run issues, which I fully expect. Hopefully the pump is okay. This is a larger than normal homeowner setup. Usually like a homeowner is like a 5 to 6.5 horsepower, 7 horse. And this has got a 11 horse flathead Briggs on it, with the older style carb. I think the chances are that throttle even moves. That's a good sign. That's a choke. That moves. Moves after we forced it to move. But I figure we're going to get into that. Hopefully the pump's okay. The problem with, in my area, it freezes during the winter time. It's a colder climate. And a lot of people do not blow the water out of the pump, or not store it in an area where it does not go below freezing. So there's a possibility that the pump can have issues with it, but that's the chance that you get. Worst case, I figured I bought a motor for 75 bucks that we could build a big mini bike. Well, what's good about this unit is it is belt driven, I believe. I'm going to get that cover off of there, but we can work on the engine by itself without having to worry about burning up the pump or not having any water in it. Then when we're ready, we could switch over to getting the pump running and move forward. So let's get her up on the bench and see what we got. Think I can do it without the ramp? Almost. Now it's up on the bench, you can see it a little bit better. It's got operating instructions, hook up the water, prime it. What else? Don't point the gun at your friend. It is a item. It's an item. Where's your oil check? There it is. See what we got in for oil. Oh yeah, she's got mud in it. It's well taken care of, huh? At least it came out. Fight you. Alright, I think we should probably go and take that cover off the other side and look and see what we got for a belt. Trying to see what we got for a year or two. You guys will see that better than I can, can't you? You love it when all this stuff washes off and it gives you absolutely no information whatsoever. Good thing it's got a tag on it. Alright, let's get that cover off the other side. It's looking alright for hardware. It's gonna be as simple as that one screw. Oh yes it is. It's a 2-belt system. Generally to get the pulleys off, because I don't know the way to pop the belts off. I'm going to pop the pulleys off. You take the 2 bolts out on this style, and then these 2 holes you put them back in it, and it pops the sleeves back apart again. I'll show you in a second. If you want to do the big one a little, let's try to take this one off, just because the tire's not in the way. The impact sensor can do it. If not, put it back in. And this is a taper collar, which is what takes it apart. Surprised to really see these on this. They're more, it's a more of expensive type of. Give it a little love tap. Ready for your love tap? Fight with me, will you? Not on the belt. Yeah, that's not what you want. Make sure you oil the belts, you know. There she goes. That collar should open up where this will slide off. Should slide off. Let's see if we can get in there and give it a tap with a brass rod. And that'll come off. And you're home free. At the least resistance. Alright. And we'll just hit the undo button. A little Control Z on this one. Time. The way these work, if you haven't seen them before, is this inner collar, it's got a taper to it that when it gets drawn in to this one, it tightens down on the shaft. So there's no set screw in this locking it to where the shaft is. It's just that when you crank these two together, it'll bind on wherever you set it up. So that's how it works. And it's a much tighter fit too, you know, there's no slop. When you bite down on these two, it's pretty good compared to a set screw, which is kind of, when you use the set screw on one of those, on over exaggerate it, it's off to one side and then the screw is kind of coming in from there. It kind of rocks in the saddle a little bit. When this one, when you clamp it down together, it goes right down on the shaft all the way around with even pressure, and the same thing with the outer ring too. Same deal. So what do you think our chances are it'll have spark? I do see it has off the side of the engine a low oil shut off. So I would think that it is long beyond points. Judging by, I'm guessing, I don't know all the other machines. I'm going to say it's mid 90s. Could be 80s. Could be 2000s. All right, let's see what we get. It's got an on-off here, which is going to be for spark also. I don't see anything else, do you? All right, let's go give her a little chug chug. Oh yeah. I can see it. Sometimes the cameras don't pick it up though. You want to dribble a little bit down in there and give her? See if she kicks off for us. You gotta wait a second. I gotta fill my fuel bottle. Yeah, let's go give it a little dribble down. Inside. over for us. Don't expect it not to, but pull it over and knocks like crazy. Getting ready. Does it have a choke, and is the choke on or off? It was either on or off right there. It needs to suck air in. Now let's go. Oh yeah! Just got a good motor so far. Warming up the ultrasonic cleaner because I definitely think we are going to need it with that carb. The other thing I see too is, I don't know if that's a sediment bowl. What is that? It's going to be water in. Either a sediment bowl or maybe you mix. Maybe that's made for mixing fluid in with it. I think it's just for sediment, maybe. I'm positive. And there's the oil shut-off switch. And it looks like it's hooked up to a light up here. I should have checked this first for a mouse nest before I fired it up. Huh? Yeah, well taken care of. Got moss. Yeah, the heater filter looks pretty good. These have a tendency to go. The outer ones have a tendency to corrode. Get it right off of there. The pre-filter. Sometimes I say goodbye to the pre-filter. Especially when it's literally just rotted out. We won't be using that. I think we can definitely save that one though. Alright, we got 1, 2, throttle, fuel, and then throttle. Throttle, we might be able to jog it right out of there. The choke is by itself. Now let's see if we can get those 2 Phillips loose. I don't see any fuel in the tank. Tank smells. So I don't suspect we're going to get a ton coming at us. Look at it go. You don't think that it actually stood the chance of somebody ran it out of fuel? I took the bottom one out already. Let's go find us a nice long Phillips screwdriver. Thought I had a longer one. Joke there somewhere. Yeah, there was one down here I took out too. There's a vent tube. Crankcase vent. There we go, it's off. And can I kick it sideways to get the throttle off? I can. Alright. Don't look too bad for sightings. And let's go open that sucker up and see what the inside has. Okay, yelled at for not using my brass jaws enough. I know. So, yeah, she needs to come out. You see the corrosion that's on the. That's the main jet adjustment. Now there's a main jet brass rod that goes through the center of the float bowl, and that float bowl, that screw has to come out before it can come apart. But I see some corrosion on there. I don't want to booger that up. There it goes. So sometimes there's a lot of corrosion you can't get that out of there. So that's why I just shot some oil in there to help it not get caught up on the threads. You get that out of there. See what I mean? Yeah, you can see the corrosion that's on the end of it. Definitely needed to come apart. Alright. So now that that one's out of there, we can open the top 4 screws. Take the top of the bowl off. Yeah. Let me set you up so you can see. Yeah, so you can get those 4 out. They weren't even tight. It didn't do the in the beginning. Let's see if we can need to whack that side of that. I need one that's got some authority to it. Hold on. He's trying to break the seal between the bowl. Not terrible. Dirty, but I've definitely seen a lot worse than that. Somewhat would have probably functioned not well, but because that main jet was dirty, but I would put this in the top 10% for not being totally disgusting. Alright, let's go get the float pin out of it. Hold on. I'm all scattered trying to get everything in front of the camera. Let's go see what the needle looks like. And then hopefully that brass float is good too, that it doesn't have any issues. But we'll get it the rest of the way torn down and get it in the cleaner. We can get that gasket off of there. Well, or should we leave it? We don't have another one. We are going to leave it. I say that now. Feels like it wants to go. As I tear the edge of it, yeah, let's leave it. That made our decision for us. And just so I can get it in the cleaner, I'm just going to pop the rod off of the air cleaner. It had a nut on the bottom of it. I already took that off. And that's threaded into the aluminum. Let's see if it doesn't spin that out of there. I think you could tap that top ring off too. Might do that also. Let's get rid of this first though. Should be able to pop that off. Don't have my magic hammer. Or we're just going to leave it alone. It's going to last. I believe that's idle mix. Everybody into the deep end of the pool. Get rid of the basket. We're just going to put the main body in. That's what I was afraid of. There's not that up there, not much up there that really needs good cleaning though. It's mostly that. And hopefully our float is still floating by the time we put it back together. Well, the carb's getting cleaned. You say we release the goo. See what it looks like. This is just a 1/2 inch extension, and with a wrench on it. Just so you're not trying to down inside there. Yeah, it's first oil change. I think it has a magnet on the end. Nope, just a big booger was on the end of the plug. So well taken care of, isn't it? Probably can get a block of wood so that we can puff up the other end. See, get a little bit of gravity on our side. Pop the cap too. See if air going in will help. Nah, it's pretty bad. You can't see through it. I don't know what the pump has. I don't know if it's got an oil reservoir or nothing. It pretty much looks like a dipstick, doesn't it? It looks like something's in it, but I can't check it because it's not sitting level at the moment. It's still up in the air. I guess we could spin that. Listen. I haven't turned my hoses on yet for winter, but I think we're out of the freeze zone, except for maybe tonight. So we may have to hook water up to it tomorrow. I don't see anything that says picture a jack-o'-lantern. Don't use too hot. Read what you're supposed to be doing. Don't use when it's too hot or too cold, I guess. Yeah, don't use below freezing. Make sure you got water flowing and purge it with the gun. That's the other thing too. I don't have a hose for it. It was a quick connect and it's not on there. I do have one. I have a couple that are laying around, but I don't know if we're gonna be able to convert those over. I guess we could leave that off for now. We'll just leave that open. Actually, a quick connect, is that going to be open through it? Looks like it. Yeah, not like a quick connect with air where it blocks itself off. But we could probably unthread. If we unthread that end and put. I'm going to have to cut this back. Put something else on. Yes, no? I don't see. Maybe not. This might be just crimped right down on it. I say. This is the one we can kind of use. It's going to be undersized though, because again, that was meant for like a 3.5 horse or a 6 horse with less volume going through it compared to this 11 horse. But if that doesn't unthread, I guess what we can do is that coupler should be the same as that one. We can unthread this assembly, use that for the other end, and see if we can thread that back into there. Alright, let's go see if this other end comes apart first though. I'm not sure if there's anything but sleeve underneath here. I don't expect that thing to come out of there. I think it's all one piece, but the whole hose, yeah, the whole hose is just twisting. Let's go a little tighter. Now, that's all part of it. That's what I thought. So I went to my stash of an old dead pressure washer that I got for free, but it's junk. And that one's got a quick connect on it too for the gun. What do you think the chances are That's the same size as the other one. It looks like it's the next size down, but I don't know. Let's get that out of there, see if we can use it. Rather than stuck in the vise, because I pretty much know the answer to trying to get that quick release, that not so quick release to move. That it's going to need a little bit of persuasion. Yeah, I think I won't even. Why was this one in the junk pile? I couldn't guess. Yeah, the collar goes down, but I am going to go try to get a wrench on there. Let's see if we can get that to. Can I even get in there with a wrench? Probably a regular wrench. Not giving it much hope, but. Now you know why I was in the junk pile. I think we should try something else. Pop the hose off the other end. Unfortunately, water's coming out of it. But it was indoors where I got it, and as long as it wasn't allowed to freeze, it may still be okay. But that was, you know, that was the lottery ticket, lack of better terms. That's weird looking too, isn't it? Trying to figure somebody just stacked a bunch of washers, or if that's some kind of spring-loaded. Anyway, so hopefully that part of it's good. This, see if we can go swap some ends around and see if we can come up with a solution for stealing the coupler. So I went back with plan A, which was removing that coupler. That's this end of it. Right there, so undid the coupler, unthreaded that so we can like flip the hose around, right? And steal the parts off the other end. But fits on that one, right? Doesn't fit on that one. Just thinking the ends aren't the same size. This thing really wants to put up a fight, don't it? I'm gonna throw some compressed air at that before we reconnect it. Just make sure we got a. That's a yes. Wash my floor too. So put the rest of it back together, but I have that in my stash. I don't think they're. This is for pneumatic, not hydraulic, you know. I think the connector might be what's getting us. It looks like it would want to drop down in there. Want to hit it with a hammer? Yeah, that's why I don't tell people to buy pressure washers from like yard sales and all, unless you can test them, because a lot of the time they're left in a garage and they are allowed to freeze. And it just cracks the pump and then they're no good anymore. I don't know if we're going to get it back out. That's... You want to throw on an adjustable? I did see rust down the other end. That's why I'm feeling that it needs to be tapped in. Question is, will that collar come back up and lock it into place? I have a feeling the answer is going to be no. I think it's in far enough. I'm gonna wrestle with that some. Can we back you up? Maybe not the end there. Try to tap that back. With a real hammer. Where's my real hammer? My real hammer. My favorite. Not looking like it, huh? So those balls are right there. We need to be in that far. Feels like it's there. What I might do, might try grinding a little bit of the end off and see if we can get it to fit in there. I think it's gonna leak like a sieve, but for now, yeah. It's like it's just not quite going in far enough, but then it feels like it's never going to seal, you know? It'll hold it there, but it's going to piss water around the end of that crazy because it's not the right one. Alright. So this shoulder right here is just a little too tall. I need to take some off. I need to take it off evenly around. But the casting of it is not that great that you can spin it up in a chuck and just run the cutter over it and take a very little bit off. So I am going to first set up to go the other way. See if that was enough. So how much searching do you think I had to do to come up with that combination? And I'm pretty sure it's going to leak like a sieve right here on the quick connect, but that's what I had to go through to get the combination back to the correct thread of the gun that's there. And who knows if that gun's even any good. At some point I'll probably find the right one at a yard sale or whatnot that just kind of clicks right into here, but for now we're just trying to get it so it we could do a function check on it. All right, that was easy. No, I was wrong. Plug does have a magnet on it. And it's been draining for a good half hour while I screwed around with the hose. Plug that back in and fill it up with oil. Vintage oil there. Not quite antique. Vintage. And when I took that cap off of there, it's just a sediment filter for the water coming in to get cleaned. But I'm just going to show. If you look at like 7 o'clock, follow this leg going down. At 7 o'clock, you can see where it's kind of cracked around the bottom, and the whole thing is crazed too. I wonder if they may have there's an interaction between, I'm trying to think what chemical it is. Nothing. One of the cleaners, you spray a cleaner on it, it does that to acrylic. It kind of looks like what happened. And then they took looks like an epoxy, a hard epoxy on it, and then they smeared it and kind of taped it up. We'll find out if that leaks. I have a feeling it's going to leak like a sieve also. But I also feel that we could probably just bypass that. Probably would be, what might be good is like a house filter, one of those whole house filters, or under the kitchen sink ones. Again, we're getting ahead of ourselves. We'll find out when we turn the water to it. Alright, let's go see what we got. Float's still floating. That's a good sign. Definitely looks a lot better than when it went in. Can you tell where it was laying? Where the line was? Alright, so let me get those out of here. I'll drop it. So let's see what the bowl looks like. Looks good. Alright, we'll go clean that. That should have been flipped over halfway through its journey. And then that part, as you can tell, now I really need two hands. Gonna put that car back together. I don't have this gasket, so I'm not gonna mess with it. I'm not gonna clean any of that off. And we're gonna let the remnants just kind of line back up to themselves, and hopefully do a good enough job of sealing. If they don't, then I have to go order. But I think we may be okay. So let's see if we can knock this thing back out. Put it back together. Needle and seat. Needle was where I was holding, the seat is what it went into. It's the on-off valve for the carburetor to allow fuel in, a metered amount of fuel in. Yeah, man. So now I'm trying to get the pin back in it. Might have to go in from the other end. There it goes. I'm just kind of eyeballing it. I generally look for almost level with the body. It's a hair higher than that. Now this is upside down, so it would make the fuel level a little lower. But I'm gonna leave it alone because that's the way it was. So I don't want to mess with something and dig a hole for no reason, right? And this isn't. It's a stationary item, and you generally have more of a problem with fuel levels on something that kind of bounces around, because it goes to the extremes of different angles. You know, a generator just pretty much sits on the ground and hums away. It's not like it's on a mower or something. So it's just sitting there, whereas on a mower or a tractor, it has a tendency to be, you know, bouncing around like that. So it's a little more forgiving on the thin side of things. Somewhere I have my little cordless, because it was literally right in front of me. Not gonna kill it. Alright. Main jet goes in. Hopefully. These are really simple carps, not much to them at all. Just sometimes a lot of people forget to pull that out and they try separating it and they bend that. And then you gotta bend it back and all the way home. And then behind that needle right there rests against that seat and the taper that's in there. So when that's all the way in, it shuts all the fuel off. So let's get a wrench on that. Is that the right one? Yeah, I shouldn't have done. That's right. So that no fuel is going to go through that whatsoever. I think will never run. Yeah, 2 turns, 1.5. We're going to find out once you fire it up. It's a half. That's a 1. It's 1.5. It's 2. Start with it there. People ask me what am I looking for when I'm running it. Well, I need to get it warmed up enough where the choke is off, because the choke affects the mix greatly. So you got to get warmed up enough so you can run it without the choke. Or if you do have it and it only runs with the choke, you got to richen the mixture because it's so lean that it's dying on you when you go to turn the choke off. And what that is running that screw out. Lean is not enough fuel. It's lean, it's thin, and rich is the other way. It's got more fuel than air that it needs to burn. So I'm gonna run that one in until it touches. And go roughly about that far out. But this thing's really never gonna idle, I don't think. I don't think it has a throttle on it. I think it's set to govern at 1 RPM. Like a generator. That's a choke. That's in, that's in. What are we forgetting? I think we just have 3 screws left. Oh, anyway, for adjusting what I'm listening for. So at higher RPMs, when I'm revving it up, I'm going to run this screw in, the main, until it starts to fall on its face. And it'll cut right out. It won't have enough fuel for it to run. It'll die. So I'm going to run that out till it regains itself and it runs good, and then give it about another quarter turn, half turn back from it. All depends on how it runs, and that puts you in a window as the temperature over the course of the year changes, that if you leave it a little bit on the rich side, you can stay within the window of the weather cycling. Then once you get that squared away, I come back for the idle. I'll grab the throttle right here and I'll probably try to bring it down to an idle, and I'm going to dial this one in pretty much the same way. I'll run it in till it wants to go die, then I'll back it out till it runs good, and then give it a little bit more than that. 2 strokes, this is a 4-stroke. 2 strokes, you want to even give it a little bit even more richer. They have a tendency to burn down. They run real great, but they run real hot and then they burn up real fast. So you want to run them a little on the rich side. But each one is its own. You fire it up, you listen to it, you may run that right in and bounce it right off the sweet spot and leave it right there. So that's what I'm going to do when I go and I fire it up and you see me, turning the screws. See if we can get that back up on there. I already have the throttle hooked to it. Let's get some room to get the bottom in there on the top. I don't think it has a fuel shut off. I can look on the other side of the tank there. Maybe go pick one up if it doesn't. Especially as these carbs get older. This stuff seeps over time. It's always good to shut it off. And we need the one that goes down below. Also, this setup is pretty picky to having the air cleaner assembly, the rod that goes through it, and the bottom bolt up inside there, because it creates some leaks going through there. Most of the work is done right through here anyway, but just put it all together. You can run it either way, but for fine-tuning it, you kind of want all that stuff on. I was wrong, it does have a fuel shut off on the tank. Good. Whether it works, that's a different story in itself. Let's throw a little bit of gas in it. And first we'll see if anything leaks. But I still have the fuel line off the other end. I'm going to go get a cup. We'll put a cup under here and we'll let it purge some fresh fuel through that line first, see if any crap is in it that we don't contaminate the carburetor. Think it's going to flow right through? You think I'm going to have to force some air through it? Looks pretty good. Even shuts back off. The line actually feels pretty good. I'm going to use that over. Now that I said that, you know it's going to leak right there. See if it'll fill up the carb and not continue to pee out. Choke is that away. I'm gonna open a door. Actually, I'm gonna put a little more gas in, put the cap on it. We'll fire it up, and I'm gonna try to dial it in with the no load on it. Let's crank her up. Hopefully. Everything should still be on. It's on choke. And those screws should be easy enough that I don't need a screwdriver, but we'll see. Went a little too lean. I'm just kind of bouncing it off the sweet spot. Might need to choke. Might not. Choke it again. There we go. And I may tweak that a little bit more after the load is on it and we get to the higher RPMs, because it's, when you're watching a throttle, like that's idle and it was running right about there at its RPM because there's no load on it. When we go to run the pump, the throttle's going to be up in this area, so it may want a little bit more fine tuning from there, but we'll deal with that at that correct time. It's too late to hook it up tonight. It is dark out. Just got dark, so I'm not gonna be able to see anything out there. Plus, it's going down to 27 degrees tonight, so I do not want to leave this out and turn my water on outside. So we'll pick this back up tomorrow. It ain't make any difference to you, but we're gonna pick it back up tomorrow and continue on when it's a balmy 50 degrees tomorrow. But what I can do while I'm waiting is, the belts haven't been running around there in a little bit. So I'm going to go clean this one up on the wire wheel, the bench grinder. And this one I'm just going to hit it with a hand wire wheel. to deal with all the rust that's on there. Go clean those surfaces up. Just putting that collar back on. So it's keyed to the shaft. Key's halfway hanging in there. And I am looking to eyeball where the first screw is for the one that it can go through. One's threaded, one's not. So we're just trying to eyeball those up, but they're fairly close together. Because once you get the taper together, that's it. It's not going to rotate anymore. You got to tap that one in though. I'm going to eyeball down the length of it too. It's pretty tight. Eyeball down the length. And try to line up what I want. There you go. I started. So it's going to draw over this way, so I'm going to favor it backwards a little. We could fine tune it after, but get away and get the gun on it. We gotta go in more. I gotta go in a lot more. Battery's flashing. It's probably flush. Put a straight edge on it, on that top pulley coming down to it. High-tech straight edge. Straight enough. I am touching that lip and that lip are on the exact same plane. Now, as long as it doesn't draw, yeah, it didn't draw much. That should close enough. Works for me. Sold. First cycle of the season, too much rust comes out of the hose. We'll let that purge for a minute. I blow them out during the fall. Yeah, you feel the rust. I'm gonna let that run for a minute or two, so that goes clear. And then we'll hook up the pressure washer to see what we get. Water's not on yet, but I'm suspecting a leak here and probably at the gun. But let's go see what we get. Yeah, I'd say so. That's got a couple hundred holes in it, huh? See if we can purge the gun. Yeah, this gun's a piece of crap too. It doesn't shut off. I say we go and fire it up. See what we get. Making noise. Trying to shut off. And it's leaking at the coupler too that I suspected. Alright, let's go fire this thing up. Iron hole. Get any in your eye? Camera's a little on the wet side. Yeah, you got a sty in your eye right now. Sorry about that. Take a moment to clean you up. Well guys, I'm happy with the end result was. Again, it's got a bunch of leaks that we need to fix, but the pump seems like it's fine. And the engine does, everything seems to be okay. The pump cycled by itself. It shut down when you stopped flow going out. It went into the bypass, so the check valves are working, or the bypass valve is working in it. I think it'd be a really good unit. I just got to get a better gun and fix that leak. I may go chase and see if I can find this cup online. Don't really know what to look up yet, but that possibly I can get that. If not, again, we'd probably just go with a small water filter. Actually, probably get rid of it altogether, but we'll see on that. But I'm happy with it. I think it's a nice commercial unit for the residential use it'll get. It should last a long time in my my hands. So guys, I think I'm gonna go sign off. I want to thank you all for kind of hanging out in the garage with me and working on not so rusty junk for once compared to other things. Now to get back on the bike. All right guys, until the next one, I will see you later, and thanks for hanging out with me. Bye. And 60 bucks later, new gun, connectors, and a new filter. That was 16 bucks and the gun was 30 something? I forget. Son of a... And if all else fails, you just cut that end off altogether because I couldn't find the connector and had a hydraulic end put on it. Watch it not thread together. And it's got a swivel on it, which is nice. So you can't take the gun off, but I generally don't do that anyway. Well, you can take it off, you can thread it. A little pipe dope on that. Should be good to go. That's more like it. This is a little bit larger, so I had to kick that block back a little further, just re-drill 2 holes. And we got plenty of room. New bits are up there, new gun on it. Hopefully it doesn't leak. Let's turn the water on, see how bad it leaks. The end of the hose is a little beat up. All the air out. Probably should have ran it. Got the dirt out of it. Shall we? Cold start. Remember what to do. Spec you up a little bit. A little too much drag on it. Go with a bigger tip. Try that. thing is an animal. I think I washed 5 cars in 10 minutes. All right, guys, I'm out. Thanks for watching. See ya.